This is an Animate CC tutorial on how to animate something while making a scale transformation. So there's a lot of scenarios in animation where you might want to animate an object while simultaneously having it scale up or down in size. So for example, maybe you have an animation that you're doing of something that you want to make it grow. Maybe the character takes a magic pill and it causes the character to grow in size. Or maybe you want the camera, the implied camera represented by the frame of the animation, to look like it's coming towards the character, so the character is getting closer. In either one of those scenarios, if you animated a scale, it would suggest either the character's growing or that the character's getting closer to the camera. So let's go through how to do that. So I have this animation of, or I have this drawing of this little bunny. Already have an animation on there of the bunny kind of moving around. So let me remove that animation. Just by back highlighting and control clicking on any of the frames, which brings up my animation menu, and then just go to remove classic tween. And then I also want to remove most of these frames. So again, I'm going to click and drag back to back highlight the frames. I'm just going to leave the first keyframe, so I'm not going to highlight that first keyframe. And I'm going to control click to bring up my animation menu, and I'm going to pick the option remove frames. Okay, so that just gives us one frame for the bunny. So let's say that I wanted it to look as though the camera, was approaching the bunny, and or the bunny was growing. Okay, so you do it the same way. The other elements in your animation will indicate whether it's the character growing or the character moving towards the camera. Regardless, you accomplish it the same way. So let's say that I want the bunny to just be this size to begin with for the duration of 2 seconds. So I'm going to come to the 24th frame, and I'm going to hit function 6 to put in a keyframe. Now from the 24th frame to, let's say, the 36th frame, so over the course of a second, let's have the bunny scale up in size. So pick the 36th frame, and with it selected, hit function 6 to put in another keyframe. Now I'm going to go ahead and put my tween in. So select the first keyframe, hold shift, select the third keyframe. That will select all 3 keyframes and all of the in-between frames. You know they're selected because they're highlighted blue. Control click on one of the in-between frames, it doesn't matter which one, and pick Create Classic Tween from your animation menu that appears. You'll get a line that has an arrow on it to indicate that the tween was successful. Now, I don't want to change anything from the first keyframe to the second keyframe because that's basically going to be a pause. But from the second keyframe to the third keyframe, I'm going to change the scale of the bunny so that it appears that he grows. So select the third keyframe, select the third tool, which is the transformation tool, and then put your cursor over one of the corner handles, which are those black boxes, and drag. Now to keep this in proportion, hold the shift key. Okay, and now once I have it scaled up, I'm going to want it to pause for a second. So to cause it to pause, I'm going to go down to say, I don't know, the 55th frame, and I'm going to put in a keyframe, function 6. Let's say it now scales back down. So I'm going to go to the 65th frame, and I'm going to put in another keyframe, function 6. With that last keyframe selected, get the third tool if you've moved off of it. I still have the third tool selected, so the transformation tool. And while holding shift, scale the bunny down by pulling on one of the corner handles. Finally, I want the length of the bunny, which is at 65 frames, to match the length of the animation, which is at 80 frames. So select the last frame and just put in one last keyframe. Now I'm not going to change anything about that keyframe, and that will represent another pause where the bunny is just sitting in space, not moving. So let's watch our animation. So if we go to Control, Test Scene, the bunny pauses, the bunny scales up, the bunny scales back down, and it pauses again. Now there's a little bit of a glitch at the end of this where the bunny just quickly changes scale, and that's because this is rotating back around to the first frame, and when I scaled the bunny back down, I didn't get it to exactly the same size. Now if it's critical that you don't have that little glitch, this is the way you can get rid of that. You can go to your last keyframe, in my case it's the 80th frame, select it by clicking on it, and then just hit delete to delete the bunny. That deletes out the content in that frame. Then I can move to the first frame and select that keyframe and go to edit and go to copy, or you can use the shortcut Command C. Then go back down to the last keyframe, in this case the 80th frame, and select it by clicking on it. And then go back to your edit menu and pick paste in place, which pastes it right back in the exact position at the exact scale that I copied it from. So now if we go back to Control Test Scene and we watch the animation, it'll cycle without having that little glitch. That's basically how you tween a change in scale. Now again, you can use that to make something look like it's growing, or you can make something look like it's moving towards the camera. There's lots of different ways that you use this. You'll find yourself doing it pretty frequently as you're working on an animation. So that's it. Thanks.